Go.
Why OFM? Hi everyone.
All right, you
Wel-
go, Pastor Joy.
Welcome to Off the Chef with Pastor Joy. So today we have our guest on the show, Pastor Joshua Abia and Rebecca Worship. So today we're going to be talking on racism and the black man, and if it's okay for racism to be talked about in the church. And definitely we're going to be doing a book review today. So welcome my guest, please. Pastor Joshua here.
Well, good afternoon, good day, viewers. Thank you for joining us once again. So blessed to have you on the show. I remain my humble self,
Amen.
Mr.
Rebecca,
Joshua.
please. Rebecca, please.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm very happy to be on the show. I'm excited about this topic. So thank you.
All right. Today, man of God and Rebecca Worship, Sister Rebecca Worship, we are going to focus on what is actually going on right now. For us to pretend like this is not real, this is not happening around the world is a joke. So before we dive into the main topic, I would like us to take this commercial for Off the Shelf. Then when we're back, we'll go into details on this discussion. Thank you.
That's too fast. Move on, Pastor Joy.
Okay, anyway, before we go on the break, Pastor Joshua, you heard, Pastor Joshua, you heard about the deaths of George Floyd. George Floyd, the American guy that was arrested, and all of a sudden, the whole nation, Black Lives Matter, came up. Um, they started talking about defunding the police. A lot of people in America started talking about inequality, racism. So my thing is this: I'm Nigeria, and Pastor Joshua, you're Nigeria. Rebecca, you're Nigerian. So am I correct? Right?
Yes.
Good. So we migrated to this country, right? From
Absolutely.
African
Mhm.
country itself, Nigeria itself. So my thing is this: how true and how deep is racism in America? How true can you say, man of God, please? I want you to shed light on that.
Um, Thank you, Pastor Joy. You see, when you talk about racism, it's it's something that it's something that has to do so much about is it a systematic thing that has to affect people in their belief and in what they think about themselves, and some bit of how do I place it? I just want to choose my words. I want to be very sure I choose
Oh,
my words very carefully. But
okay.
what is there is this. I want to say, in even when you read through the Bible, you always see there is this thing that makes people look, certain people are inferior and others are superior. In the time the Samaritans and the Jews, the Israelis, there was this cultural divide that even when Christ came, the Samaritans were seen as people that were not clean, and the Jews were seen as people that were clean. So, from time immemorial, you will always find out that in the history of man, there is this behavioral attitude of man to man. Not necessarily, I don't see it necessarily as just about color. but I see it as man's, behavioral attitude to each other, irrespective of color, because even you will also realize that in the midst of blacks, you also have that feeling in certain tribes ascribing to themselves as if they are superior to other tribes. And you also see that in Caucasians and in maybe Asians, as the case is. So it's a phenomenon that has always been there. But like true Christians we are, it's something that we need to actually bring on board also in church to address, because the Bible says we have not seen God, and if we say we can't love our neighbor, then we can't love our neighbor, whether be it black or white or brown, as the case is, then we don't have God in us. So it's something even the Bible teaches. So as to break these walls and these barriers that people think or set by reason of their attitude. So it's something that needs to be talked about. We need to know what are the attributes and what are the things that bring about this over time. So it's systematic. So like in the case of George death, I want to say not necessarily because the person that passed, George, is black alone, that was the issue. The thing is, it's a systematic thing that has been in the system, in the policing system. In the policing system, is a systematic thing that has been there and over time. So it's something that we need to that needs to be checked and reviewed and make sure things are done right and properly. So that is what it's just that was just an incident that triggered off a whole lot of responses, because it has been happening. Some other times it has been happening and it has not been reported.
Okay.
The policing is done. So it's obvious that there needs to be some policing reforms. That's just my take for us to start on this
Okay, thank
topic.
you so much. I get what you said. So basically, for us to be clear, you definitely agree that there is racism in the system.
Absolutely.
That is a systematic thing. And
Yes.
it's being experienced every day, and you also did agree that it is something that has to be talked about in church. Now,
Absolutely.
Sister Rebecca Worship, I would like to see your light on that. How deep and how real do you think the black man faces racism in America?
Yes, thank you for that question. It's a very serious question, very deep, goes way back. I was just reading an article on Washington Post on the subject. It brought back into memory the assassination of Martin Luther King. We're talking about, Juneteenth, which is a celebration here specifically in Texas. And this was June the 19th, 1865. June 19th, 1865. That was actually when Black people, even after 2 years after Abraham Lincoln gave the proclamation, Texas had to wait 2 years Black people to be considered free. So it's a huge deal. It's definitely not taken lightly, especially that Juneteenth celebration. Racism in America, for me, I would personally say that I've been fortunate enough to be around people who are psychologically aware of racism. So, and I'm speaking from the Caucasian standpoint as well as the African American standpoint, to be even more clear on that. When I went to college, the house that I stayed in was, my best friend was Caucasian. I grew up with Caucasian. Very aware of racism, and to me, now that I am away from that environment and from that whole setting, I realized at some point they have tried to express they weren't racist. You know, I remember an incident. My friend, when I was staying with her mom, she was a wealthy lady, lived Columbia, Illinois, and when she had a salon and she owned the salon and she would rent spaces out to different people. And I came into her salon, told them, she said, "Oh, this is Rebecca that's with me." Like, she made that point. And they're like, and everybody in the store, which are all Caucasian, looked back at me. I was like, "Wait, you with her?" She's like, "Yeah, she lives with me." So, and that was just a shocking moment at that time. After she did that, everything kind of cleared up. Everything lightened up. I didn't think anything of it then. Now that I look back, I'm like, wow. Wait, I think did your mom just like specifically try to express that she was affiliated with someone from Africa, and she was really desperately trying to say that to be more accepting of culture, more of color. One, I'm not only African American, I'm African American Nigerian. So it's like 3 Africa combined. So it's real. It's not something. There's still people out there who still feel that color is they're still immigrants. They're still not part of the system. They're still not the authentic or the true Americans. The George Floyd death in Minneapolis, horrible, and just looking at that and just how people retaliated or death, that people are out on them. But the fact that it exists, yes, and it's just I think we're being more open-minded at our approach. We're having more acceptance, even though there's still a restriction or an extent to which we can express that. But it still exists, and I think it's going to take time for us to fully merge into the system, I think.
Okay, thank you guys. So basically, you and the man of God is agreeing that there is a systematic racism. So, okay, I think we just lost. Okay, Pastor Joshua, you're back. So can everyone hear me? I believe you guys can hear me clearly. Okay, good.
Yeah.
So basically, both of you right now agree there is a systematic racism, and Rebecca just gave a scene of where it happens. My next question is this. I have my own view. I have my own view on that, but I'm going to keep my comment for the now till I get answers from my next question. Do you think, man of God, the racism or the systematic racism that you think is going on in America can stop you from doing what you want to do or being what you want to be, whatever you want to become as a black man and a black woman in America? Do you think your freedom has been taken? It limits you from doing whatever you want to do. I'd like to hear your opinion.
Pastor Joy, you broke up a bit. Can you repeat the question, please?
Okay, Pastor Joshua, can you hear me? Can you hear me? You can hear me now? Everybody can hear me? Okay. Now, my question is this. Do you think everybody's talking about this systematic racism that is real? And I've just heard from you, man of God. You said it's real. Sister Rebecca said it's real. My question is this. Do you think this whole systematic racism has stopped any black person from doing what they want to do or becoming what they want to become. Do you think it has stopped them? There is a limitation on it, or there is a lead, please?
Pastor Joshua, I can't hear you.
No,
No.
I can hear Rebecca. Okay, before
Can you hear me?
yes, I can hear you now.
Yes,
Okay, Rebecca, you can
I
hear
can
me.
hear you now.
All right.
Yes,
So
yes, very
I
well.
was I was saying in response to the question I was saying racism, to me, the impact of racism cannot stop any person who wants to achieve his potential in America. It doesn't.
I had to clap for that.
The examples are just so numerous. Some few years back, we had the president is a black from whose father is from Kenya. We have the likes of the former secretary to the government, Powell, and so many other great men in all the industries in America. Any industry you can name, or you can point to, you can practically see blacks holding on to their own. So yes, we accept and we agree to the fact that racism is there, is systematic, is there. But nevertheless, it's not so pronounced to stop dreams and visions and the potentials of humans. So anyone who is determined and is focused and has his eyes focused to succeed will actually be able, to be above, to live
You're
and to
breaking up.
strive to be above racism, the devices of racism.
Okay, so now, man of God, I heard you loud and clear. You said racism is not enough to stop anyone from
Not
being
at
what
all.
they want to be, especially
Absolutely.
in America. Now, before
Especially, yeah.
we get Sister Rebecca, would you agree that racism is not enough to stop you from doing what you want to do and becoming what you want to become? Would you agree to that?
I agree to a certain extent. I would
Why?
say
Why is
that
that?
for sure, if you're looking, okay, I would say if you're looking for a job, for example, and the employer of that job um, is not, at that particular time is not looking for color, you're not going to get the job. In America, some jobs require you to put your ethnicity down so they can be ratios of the type of um, race that are working at the establishment. So, I mean, but in the church, I would definitely say that there should not be racism at all in the body of Christ. But out in the corporate world, I've experienced racism applying for a certain position. I've experienced sexism. So it's just, it shouldn't be
Okay.
personally, from your personal standpoint. It should not stop you just because that one job did not hire you because you were black or because you were a woman. Does not mean that there isn't other opportunities out there that are unrestricted, to such a thing. But when you're saying, I guess to answer your question correctly, individually, racism should not stop you from attaining your destiny or your goal or your ambition. Racism should not be the
Absolutely.
reason why you're not progressing.
All right. Before I move to the next question about if race is actually a skin thing or a heart thing. All right. For me, migrating from Nigeria, I wouldn't say there is oppression in America. I would not say that. And my points
Right.
why I would not agree to racism in America is because I've not experienced it myself. From the way they are saying it, and we are going to go to George Floyd's issues. If race is actually the problem of the black man in America, we're actually talking about the black people. Now, let's not forget, as we are having this conversation, I am saying I don't believe in it. Do you understand there are other minorities like the Hispanic communities? From what we are seeing now, do you agree that the Spanish are now beginning to see themselves as black? Would you say that? Because whenever they talk about black, I see especially the Hispanic people, I always see them attaching themselves, some of them, not all of them. And I wonder why. And don't forget, we also have the Indians and other.
You're breaking up.
Can you hear me? Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, Rebecca, your screen is frozen. I think she got to fix that. So, but I want to believe she'll meet us up. So my next question is this: why I have a but when it comes to this race thing? There are other race. If it's about color, why are the Hispanic people attaching themselves to this? Like, why is that?
Oh, that's very simple, Pastor Joy. That's very simple because we are in a society where everybody tries to gravitate towards where he or she can achieve what he wants to achieve. Racism, it's like I said, is a systematic thing, and it boils down to attitudes, and it boils down to certain attributes common to certain ethnicities. Like the blacks, there are certain traits or there are certain attitudes that characterize the blacks. So basically, when such things are repeatedly seen, it creates also an attitude in, let's say, the other tribes, like the Caucasian tribe, to react to what they see in that. And those are some of the things that bring about the racism we are talking about. For instance, I'll just take this off. Let's be sincere. Recently, a lot of some Nigerians were picked up in Dubai for scam-related issues alleged to be. You understand? It's not just Nigerians. We have a good, very excellent Nigerians in America here. Sometime I saw a post was made that on the average, at least 52 Nigerians, when you look at the population per population who migrated here, are educated to at least to a doctorate level, as the case is. So we are learned people. But nevertheless, we also have people that bring a whole lot of bad reputation and image to that ethnicity. So that's also what it is with the black person. It's like there are a few bad eggs that, does certain things
I can
that.
barely hear you. You're breaking.
Okay, let me step up my voice. So basically, there are a few persons that try to bring a kind of coloration to what the black race is all about. And what other people think about what the black race is not actually what it is. So now, talking about the Hispanic, trying to align with the black people is because the Hispanic group also feels that they have a common battle with the black race. They have a common oppressor, or they have a common oppressor who seem to look down on them, or seem to look down on their race as inferior, and so they kind of align with those they know are also seen in that dimension, so they can fight against that, or they can speak against it, as the case may be. So that is what basically makes it look as if the Hispanic and the blacks are working together, or they see themselves as black, as the case is. No, because it's come to a point that they are fighting against a common issue, a common problem. So that unites them together. But you discover that at the end of fighting that, then you begin to see them go apart again, respecting their various ethnicities, or identifying solely with their various ethnicities. So that's the way it is.
Okay, now I want to move to the next question. The reason for me why I think there is no racism, I don't believe in racism, is simply because coming from Nigeria.
Pastor Joy, you're breaking.
Can you gotta check your end. Maybe you want to check that. Can you hear me? Can you hear me clearly? You can hear me? Pastor Joshua, can you
I can hear you. I can hear you clearly. I can hear you clearly.
So, Mr. Rebecca, can you hear me now? Is her phone? I think she's frozen or something. Yeah, she's frozen. Now, moving forward, my thing is this. Coming from Nigeria, with my own eyes, we all saw oppression every day. We are talking about a land that have the black man. There is no white person, no white ruler. Everybody black. How come the people, the leaders, there is still oppression? There is still even the police brutality. The ones I hear them talk about that I watch is the ones of SARS. And we also saw what happened in South Africa, how the black people were seriously killing every African person, brutally killing every African person. If we come down to America about George Floyd's death, we should be talking about what caused his death. No nation is perfect, but I would say America is one of the most freest freedom country that I know. That at least to 60–70% the system is working to give voice to the voiceless, even if you don't have money. But most of us can say that about an African country where we even migrated from. So what's going to be our excuse to the Nigerian people that are going through oppression every day? That even the common man, when they go through the deepest, crime, oppression of all time, there is nobody to speak for them. Yet we all carry the same color of skin, the black skin. So what is our excuse to that? If we want to talk about, in America there's racism. The kind of freedom, man of God, you will agree with me, the kind of freedom we do have here, we don't have it in our country. Will you agree to that?
Well, absolutely, you are right. You're spot on that there is freedom here. What you have said, there is freedom. And then compared to back home, it's not the same. But like I will say, you have to realize this America is in the forefront of the democracies of the world. And democracy in this part of the world has actually matured to a point that the rule of law is supreme. The rule of law is supreme. So everybody follows the rule of law. It doesn't matter who it is. But when you get back to Africa, we are still grappling with the basics of democracy. There is no rule of law. There is no separation of powers. There is no, a whole lot of things are messed up. So you discover that with time, the founders of America, the forefathers of America, they have paid the price. There have been casualties. People have been, the likes of Martin Luther King paid the supreme price for you to enjoy freedom, for those here to enjoy freedom. The likes of George Washington, that made the proclamation, as the case is. America has gone through wars, they've gone through battles, they've gone through, a lot of constitutional reviews, as the case is. And they have arrived at what a lot of people, immigrants, are enjoying, both blacks, white, as the case is. But that is not same with a lot of the African nations. Perhaps if we want to compare the American democracy and freedom, then we have to compare it to nations like Britain. Britain actually colonized America, if I'm not mistaken. So,
no, you're right.
So those are the things we need to compare apples to apples, and then we'll know if we have actually done well. And then then we can compare oranges to oranges and look at the nation of Nigeria and then South Africa. We can compare what happens in those nations. So if we keep it at that, then we'll be able to appreciate better point of discourse, because at this point in time, like, the nations of Nigeria are still learning from the nation of America. And when they see things like the situation of George case coming up, then it's a sore point, to such smaller nations, and they may just be justified that all the oppression that is going on, perhaps, at least they are doing their best, but it's something that is unacceptable. Okay. And one more thing I want to say is, I strongly believe that what happened with the George Floyd case is, I believe, if the police, the cop that was involved, I believe if he had to go through that again, perhaps it's not something he will have repeated or he want to go through or do at the same time. So maybe it was just one of those incidents and mistakes and aggression, and then it's happened that way.
Okay, Rebecca, let me ask a question. Man of God, I got everything you said. Do you think in America, racism is the black man problem? When it comes to the black community, do you think that's their problem? Do you think that racism is a problem? Rebecca, can you hear me?
If I think...
So my question is this. Do you think in America, when it comes to the black community, do you think racism is the problem? Can you hear me? Can everybody hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, my question is, Rebecca, can you hear me? All right. Okay, Pastor Joshua, this is my question though.
Yes.
Do you think in America, the black community, that racism is a problem? Do you think that's a situation when it comes to the black community?
The truth is, it is there, but we can't say totally that is the black man's biggest challenge. It's a problem that needs to be addressed and looked into, and part of the way is to be able to shed more light in its operations so that it can be stamped out totally. You see, even racism is seen on the pitch where footballers play, in Europe, in UK, and all of that. We see it on the pitches of football, how players are treated and all of that. It's there. We can't say it's not there. Sometimes there are certain things that happen and it bruises the person's, but it also boils down to how it is handled. That is why we need to talk about it, especially in churches. We need to, it's there,
Okay,
but we must live
man of
above
God,
it and know we
because
have a
of
focus.
time, we are going to watch a video. And before we watch this video, over the weekend, I lost a very close friend. All right? He was shot dead. He graduated 2 months ago. All right? And he was shot dead. And I'm going to ask the media guy to play this very drive-through shooting with the child. I want you to watch this. If the media can put that up for us to see. I want you to look at the screen. I want you to see that. Pastor Joshua, you're
Yes.
watching it?
Yeah.
Did you see what? Can you play that one more time? Okay, look at that. That happened close to,
No, come on, come on. Okay.
right? You see it's with a little girl.
Yes.
You see the man is down and the baby girl around. Now,
Yes.
this happened on Sunday, close to my brother's house. And that same day, in the evening of it, 2 young men were shot dead. A day to that, prior to that, 2 other young men, they were shot dead. What I've come to realize is, I don't think racism is the black man's problem in America. It is not. If racism is a problem, we that migrated, that our accent is even thick, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Would have been
Yeah.
limited. The Ghanaians are here. When you go to the hospital, when it comes to doctors, Nigerians are there. Would you agree with me, Rebecca and Pastor Joshua? You agree with me on
Absolutely.
that?
Absolutely.
The Nigerians are there, Ghanaians are there, Zimbabwe, Sierra Leoneans, they are all there. We occupy these places. And when it comes to the educational, you mentioned that even some few minutes prior to this video. When it comes to that, a lot of us do well. Within 2 to 5 years, we are good, right? If
Absolutely.
we that migrated from Africa, from a country that oppression is the order of the day, why is it that the people that are born here, they do have issue migrating? I want you guys to be, I don't want to be the one to give the, I believe you already know where I'm driving to, but I don't want to be the one to say it. I'm going to say it, but I want to hear from Sister Rebecca. What would you say? Would you now say that racism is part of the black man problem in America?
You know, this is how I've come to understand the whole system. And I'm saying this coming from the standpoint of being a Nigerian who also experienced tribalism in Africa. You know, in America it's racism, in Nigeria it's tribalism. You know, my
I'll come
tribe
to
can
that.
beat your
Absolutely.
tribe.
You're
Go
right.
ahead, though.
You're
You
right.
know,
Yeah.
so and my dad was from a totally different tribe from my mother's tribe. I was in the middle of that chaos, you know. So to me in America, it seems black people are still very upset at slavery, period. And there are white people who feel that
But
a black
sorry,
person.
not you said something that I want to
Mhm,
pick on a little bit. Why are the
mhm.
black people in America upset till now? Why? Why is
Over
that?
slavery. You know, I can't really everybody is looking for somebody to blame. That's the thing. You know, there needs to be a bad guy in this. And the point is, I think people feel, you know, it's absolutely horrible that a human being can be treated like an animal or treated like an animal. And I've seen
Okay,
several videos
Sister
coming
Rebecca,
up.
Sister Rebecca,
Yes.
because of time, I'm going to be coming in because we'll get into some deep issues that we really need to address. Man of God, Nigerians were colonized too, true of us.
Oh, absolutely. They were colonized
We
by the
gained our
British.
freedom not too long ago,
Yeah,
1960.
1960.
correct.
Yes.
60, yeah.
With all the failed system we have in Africa, with all the faith system we have, we are able to move past it. Why is it hard for America to move past what happened in the past? Slavery. Especially when we live in a time where slavery, you know, nobody owns a slave anymore. Nobody. We didn't mean anyone that owned a slave. Do you think this is healthy? Do you think this is ever going to move them forward to be whom they are supposed to be? And why does it keep coming up? Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, let Rebecca continue. I think she has
Yeah.
something up her sleeves. Rebecca, you can go
Thank
on.
you. Thank you, sir. There are two incidents that I actually want to bring to our attention. The first one was, do we remember that incident where a um, young white male entered a Baptist church and shot everybody in there?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's one incident that brings back this whole thing. And then there was another incident where actually, even in the state of Texas here, there was a woman running for an office in the state of Texas here, and in the process of her running, she brought back up the slavery thing, and she made everybody in the courtroom that was white apologize to the black people for slavery. So we see two different extreme cases where there is a white person, you know, killing black people, and then there is another white person, you know, feeling remorse for that past and is trying to amend or trying to take care of what happened in the past. The point is, it's a gradual, I think the more it's being talked about, the more everybody becomes aware and the more we're getting educated about the situation. But in America, there's still groups that Ku Klux Klan, the KKK group. There is still a white supremacy group in America. So it makes it hard for people to move past it when you have the white supremacy um, um, group in America. You have this, you know, all the black people. You know, I think in back in the day there was a group called the Black Panther. You know, so they're which are like extreme blacks who were racist against the whites. I think it's more on dialogue. The more we talk about it, the
Okay, I'm
more
going to step in
we
a little
come
bit
to a resolve.
because of time. I'm going to step in here. My question was, what's the problem of the black community? And I will tell you, for one, being in the Bronx and being from New York, racism is not the problem. The man of God talked about something, and you agreed on it, that there's a systematic racism. That means the system is placed, you know, to put the black, if I'm correct, when it comes, what people would assume is a systematic racism is when a white person is in position. So they put on their people in the best position and put a black person. That's the only way the systematic racism can float, right? But today, it happens even within the black culture, the black people, I meant to say. When you have a black person in position, they always want to put their own. The Hispanic people, they do it. When you come to New York, there's a lot of them in office. They put their black people. When you put in for houses, they are Spanish people. They put their Spanish people first. All right? So this is not just something, when we talk about systematic racism, that's dealing with just the Caucasian alone. I played that video because over the weekend, yesterday, there was 5 shooting, people dead, gang in the black community. It has nothing to do with a white person. And if they are talking about, oh, we got to keep educating ourselves about the past, about racism, if we keep talking about it, it's not going to bring healing. Man of God, if we as believers are telling people, do you know what? Let's keep talking about how they slaved our ancestors and everybody. Then as believers, as a church, we are being hypocritical. It's like telling somebody, keep remembering how you were hurt. Don't forgive. Just keep talking about it. How are they going to move past it? Because from the word we've heard, you cannot go forward when you're stuck with the past. And that is the problem of the black people. So whenever, okay, man of God, I'm going to say something. That's why I give you guys the floor to speak on this.
Yeah.
Now, George Floyd's death came because of, it's not justified because of the choke mode, but the police did not go outside the training he was given within the police rules.
Procedures and rules.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, if George Floyd did not resist arrest, because he did resist it, that incident wouldn't happen. That's one. Whatever we're seeing right now, I'm not going to dwell on it because it's all politics. Because Eric Gardner, Judge Zimmerman killed someone. There was no outcry the way it is right now. What I think is the problem when it comes to the black people in America, with the shooting I've seen over 2 weeks, almost 10 persons gone, and that's been happening since I came into this country. Guess what? It is a black on black crime that is stopping, that is the main issue of the black community. Before I go further, to ask any question, and I knew Pastor Joshua wanted to say something. So can you say it real quick? Then there's a video I'm going to play. Thank you.
Okay, so I wouldn't, regarding George Floyd's case, it's in the courts, and then I wouldn't say if he resists or not. I will leave that for what is being done in the courts. But one of the things I want us to talk, and I always want even the churches to talk about, which I said they should talk about, it's teaching the people, especially the black folks, if racism exists in our communities, how do we live above that? You know, it's an attitude. It's an attitude. For instance, we've seen situations where black people are stopped, even when maybe they run the red light and they are stopped and they resist arrest and all of that. Things like that happen. So we need to bring back things that needs to be done, the order we need to instill in people, and what they need to do. You know, it doesn't take anything from you to ignore racist chants. Someone was playing football in a pitch and he was giving a racist slur, you know, and he took it as next to nothing, and he moved on. And you know, it's but you know, certain people tend to make so much big deal out of it, and that is what we need to emphasize, you know, to the young people in our community. You know, it's more like someone saying, "Oh, Pastor Joy, you look so ugly." You know, of the truth, I've been giving you compliments that you look so beautiful, but someone complimenting you as ugly doesn't change anything from you.
True.
It doesn't. It doesn't add. It doesn't take anything. So it's something you can just accommodate and live on. But one thing I am sure about in this American society is this: racism, some 50 years back, it's not the same thing as racism now. Racism now. There has been an improvement, and
Yeah.
the American society is a society of always improving. So I know in the next couple of years, this too will be a thing in the past. So it's the society keeps progressing. You can imagine now with the cops, the police reforms. Everybody's talking about reforms so as to change the procedures and systems and all of that, just to be sure the right thing is being done. Because the American society is a listening society. The governments of the day is a listening government. They have their ears and they want to make sure they stand for the people and they do what is right. So all we need to do, even in our churches, is to support the government and also to tell people the right thing that they ought to do, so as to support the government to achieve what we need to achieve as a potential, as a people, and as Americans.
Thank you so much, Pastor Joshua. I think you just hit a very, very important point. I think as a church, and Sister Rebecca, I don't know if you agree with this, we shouldn't be talking about color at all. Because when it comes to reading the Bible, I've not seen God judge anyone by color, but God has always judged them by tribe. And I remember Sister Rebecca talking about, in Nigeria, it's about tribalism. In families,
Yeah.
people kill people. In families, I've seen same tribe kill people.
Absolutely.
I think this is
Absolutely.
more or less like a heart problem.
Thing
That's one.
is a hard thing.
Tribalism is true. I'm not going to take that away, Sister Rebecca. What you said is correct. I think somebody was pointing out that the EFCC chairman was just taken out in Nigeria, and they brought in someone again from the north, not from another tribe. So I understand what Sister Rebecca just talked about when she said when it comes to Africa, it's more or less like tribalism, because really when the xenophobia was going on in South Africa, they were saying they want their own Swahili
people.
how they call themselves. They want their
Swahili.
own people.
Swahili.
Thank you. They want their own people there. They don't want other
Tribes.
tribes to be
Other
there.
tribes.
So yes, woman of God, you are so right on that. Now, because of time, we have less than 10 minutes. Man of God hit something so deep, very deep. What can we do, Sister Rebecca? I think we have moved past color. That color is not a problem. Even if it comes, there's always going to be one or two person, even your own race, who will tell you, I don't like you because of your hair. Do you understand? But how do we educate our parents to speak to their children about the system, what to do to avoid being shot, what to do to get out of certain situation, what more can be done? Rebecca, as a member of church, you think pastors should bring up this issue, should address it, should talk about it, like the man of God just said?
Yes, I actually agree with Pastor Joshua on me, pretty much everything he spoke
Thank
about
you.
a few minutes ago. And I also talk about um, some of these things in my book, 25 Days Freedom and Peace. And in my book, what I talked about was the mind. Just like Pastor Joshua said, it really is our mind.
It's a
How
mindset, yeah.
we, yes, how we process information and
Right.
how we hold that information. Because Apostle Joseph Suleiman, my father-in-law, Papa, would say that you are what you think. So
You are.
if you feel that you've been cheated, um someone stole opportunities from you, you could have been better than what you are now. you know the reason why this person got that promotion is because they were white. I mean, then you've already started something, and that tiny seed can really hold the rest of your life. So in the book, what I tried to explain was that once we are physically and mentally aware of our position in Christ. Let's even look at, 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 4. It says, love is patient, love is kind. When we are kind to ourselves, when we think kindly about ourselves, when we think kindly about other people, that really helps us, love ourselves. And it begins with us. It's really us. How do you take yourself? Who do you see yourself as? Can someone really stop you? There are many things, many projects I tried to start, and it was either it's not the right time. Why should it be you? There are other people before you. People can do it better. You're not approaching this the right way. So many obstacles, so many no, no,
Yeah.
no, no, no. And
True.
it got to a point where it would have been easy for me to say, oh, maybe I was late. I could have been a pastor. Maybe I could have been this. I could have been that. Then this opportunity. But the Holy Spirit helped me. The more of the Word of God I took into my system, I realized that I am an heir of Abraham. I'm not an heir of Black people or white people or my mom. My inheritance comes way back down to Abraham. And guess what? Abraham possessed the land from a foreign land. I mean, so many examples in the Bible show that God has absolutely no respect for race. Joseph became a vice president in a country that he wasn't born in. Esther became a queen in a country that she wasn't born in. So Abraham possessed an entire, like a whole country was given to him, and he wasn't born in that area. So I mean, it's just so many positive things. And so I just to answer your question and to buttress what Pastor Joshua said, it's the mind. We just have to
As
really,
the
the
minds.
church needs to work on our mind instead of manipulating, trying to plant other things in our minds or whatever. The church needs to stand firm on building us up, bringing confidence in the fact that we are the chosen. We
Amen.
are the people God is going to use to
Amen.
bring the end of the
Hallelujah.
age, the end of
Amen.
time.
Absolute.
So now, Pastor
Absolutely.
Joshua, thank you so much, Sister Rebecca. Pastor Joshua, I loved what she said, and I want to focus on that before we rush to do our book review. We're almost coming to the end of this segment. I know tech and all of that. Rebecca said something so profound, and she said nobody can stop you. So many
Yeah.
things she wanted to
Absolutely.
do. And guess what?
Yeah.
Rebecca, I don't know how much you're going to agree with this. Most of the people that wanted to stop you, they're wearing all the race or all the color. They are your color. This brings me down to most of the things and challenges we face in life has nothing to do with color. It has everything to do with the heart.
With
If you're a
us,
good
with
person,
us, and with our
yes,
hearts.
if you're a good person, you're a good person. If you're not, you're not. The devil is always going to look for something to say to justify any wrong. Even in a church, people tend to have clique. Like, I'm working with this clique, I'm working with that clique. The truth is, we got to see things through the eyes of God. If you're my brother, I have to love you for your content, not because of your color. So, the man of God said something so powerful that I want every pastor, believer, Christian, let's begin to teach our kids the Lord. Let's begin to tell parents about the Lord. If you're stopped by police, put up your lights. Because this police themselves, what about if they got a call? I just got robbed. Not me though, I reject. Oh, somebody just got, some person got robbed.
Yeah.
And the person that
Yeah.
robbed me fits the description of that person. And the police,
Absolutely.
what route did the person take? The person's like, 3rd Avenue. 3rd Avenue, there is a call to the next police. And they see the car. It's almost the same car that was described. So instead of us black people to be angry, why did they stop us? You do not know the reason. It could be that they got a call. So the best thing to do is to put on your light off your car, put your hands on deck. So as the police is coming, you know they always got their hands on their gun because they don't know if you got a gun. Because most of the time they approach this car and they get shot by criminals. So we also should not just look at our perspective, we should also look at theirs, that they risk their life daily. And according to the
Absolutely.
book of Proverbs, man of God, sweet words turn away what? Route. So,
Right.
good morning, sir. How are you, sir? What do you want? I need your license. Okay. Even if you're being delayed, being alive is better than being dead and never going to where
Right.
you're going to. So it is good that, man of God, as a man, especially when it comes to our black community, I think it is time for the church to step up into the community, for us to start holding projects, to start schooling our young men the importance of life, to tell them the disadvantage of being in gangs, and let them know the white person is not their problem. Take your mind off racism, because what I see is too much political force playing on the black man's emotions. If racism is so deep, like the way the Black Lives people are talking about, look at the way what's going on right now. They just see white people on the road and start beating them, shoot them. So the whole purpose, George Floyd died, and the people that have died, including black and children, is way more. So it's not worth it. Do you understand me, sir? So we all can
Yeah.
come to a
Yeah.
place where we're like, let's take this thing off race. Let's take this thing to the heart. If God himself never used the terminology, oh, we're talking about skin color, God judged people according to their content. Ruth was not God's favorite. She wasn't God's people. But immediately she denied her foundation, rejected her people, and clicked to God people, God embraced her. And today she's the great grandmother of Jesus. She's a Moabite.
Jesus.
A people that God don't love. Do you understand what I'm about? What about Rahab, the prostitute? These are people, that's to tell you, God is not interested in your color. He made us all. Every one of us, we are all his children. So in church, what I saw, why we brought up the topic, man of God, that should pastors talk about racism in church, is simply because when we talk about race, we are already dividing the church. Jesus already did that. He said no Greek, no Jews, no free,
Gentile.
no bound. We are all one.
One.
So man of God, God bless your heart
Absolutely.
for bringing that up, that it is time for us to start
Absolutely.
addressing this thing. And thank you so
Addressing
much,
that,
Sister Rebecca,
yeah.
for bringing that up. That is all about the mind. Moving forward,
The mind.
we've come to the end of our segment today. We have 4 minutes. What is the book? Rebecca brought her book. Anyway, let me let you do it. She has a book that she wrote. Talk about it within 1 minute,
Yeah.
because we are so out of time. We
Okay.
started late.
All right.
Yeah,
My
that's
book,
a beautiful face right
25
there.
days. Sorry, I have some decals in here.
25 days, come
25
on.
days, freedom and peace. This was birthed from a thorough, in-depth search of God, of who God was to me, or
I
who
can't
God
wait to
is
read
to
that.
me. It's
Wow.
quite precious to me. It took some time to put it together. I'm so happy that it finally came through. Yay! Pastor Joy has a copy,
Yeah,
and
I
I'm
got
gonna
my
get you a
copy.
copy, Pastor Joshua.
Oh,
I also
wow.
designed
Thanks. Yeah.
some other things, just some lovely decals, which
Right.
are all available on my website, RebeccaWorship.com.
Amen.
But just to talk a little bit about this book, on the back of the book, I said it is evident that Satan mostly takes advantage of simple, passive individuals. Every day, the enemy Satan sets up a plan for you to fail. If he cannot get you through your thoughts, he'll use anyone around you. On the other hand, according to the word of God, fact remains you were born to win and give
Amen.
God glory. When you realize that the situation you're going through is an arrow from the enemy, you know that you carry God on your inside. Wait no longer. So, I mean, it's just one of those wonderful experiences. Once I captured the person that God wanted me to be, once I saw that visually with my
Vision.
spirit eyes, that there's more to what you're currently doing, Rebecca. There's more to you. That you have all this information in your mind, in your head. There's several people that
Absolutely.
would love to benefit from
Come
it.
on now,
So
come on,
definitely.
girl.
Anyway,
All right. Now,
I can go on and on.
Pastor Joshua, what book do you have for us today?
In Pursuit of Purpose. In Pursuit of Purpose tomorrow. Wonderful book, great book by God's General who've
Oh my God, may
transited.
his soul rest in
Yeah, may his
peace.
soul rest in peace. But that's this one book that I keep reading on
Okay.
and on to shaping my purpose in life and
Amen.
to pursue purpose in everything I do. You know,
Wow.
because once the purpose of something is not known, you obviously
Abuse
you
is
abuse
inevitable.
you know abuse is inevitable.
Thank
So
you so
it's a
much.
nice read. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And I've been reading Joel Austin book, Your Best Life Now. I love it. It's so powerful.
Wow.
It teaches you the importance of whom you are. It gives you definition of your purpose because sometimes we so walk with fear. You see, Sister Rebecca talked about, not undermining yourself regardless of all the obstacles that you
Yeah.
face. And when you see possibilities before you, you can be whatever you want to be. Like my daddy would say, 99 no's, 1 yes can erase every 99 no's. So let's keep pursuing our dream. You see the way we're starting off the chef right now? It's here and there, but
We
one
keep
day,
striving and keep
yeah, we
pursuing.
keep, thank you so much, man of
Yeah.
God. So I'm going to be seeing you guys again next week off the chef. Thank you, Pastor Joshua, for coming up. And thank you, Rebecca Worship. Thank you so much. And never forget
God
the
bless you,
Black
man.
Man of Racism. Thank you so much, sir. The Black Man of Racism, nothing can stop you. Let's leave the narrative, the past behind, and move into the future. And as believers, let's begin to educate our young men, our people, how to obey the law. When we obey the law, it makes things easier. And like the man of God said, walk away from certain situations. Sister Rebecca also gave an insight that just because one person rejected you does not mean another door cannot open. And we shouldn't
All
judge
doors are
people
shut.
by their color. We should all go by the heart. So God bless you. See you next time. And bye-bye.
Bye bye. See you next time. Bye bye.
Thank you. Ah, thank you, Jesus. Give you all the praise. Oh my God. Please, guys, I apologize. Ima is trying. I can't be mad at him. He's trying. Like, you have no idea what the guy is going through.